We should know that in terms of uranium, um, and uranium deposits that have been identified, Niger is in the top 10 of all countries in the world. And as the article pointed out, Western countries are getting about 25% of their uranium from Niger. So
Sure.
you understand how important it is. If you think of your income, if there is a source that gives you a quarter of your income that is suddenly threatened, that's going to be, I don't know about you, that's going to be a problem for me. There's going to be a lot of belt tightening. So just to bring that home, I do applaud Tiani's courage act to step out in this way. It takes courage, and that's why so many other African leaders are not doing the same thing. It would make so much more sense if he wasn't stepping out as just Niger and it was a collective. You know, you can break this finger so much easier than it is to break
Okay.
this fist, right?
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
so
Yep.
it would be great if there was a conglomeration, if you will. So we know that South Africa also has uranium, and we know that Namibia also has uranium. They're all in the top 10. What if even just those three countries came together, kind of like OPEC, and says we're operating as a bloc? And so without that happening, I think he's vulnerable. The country is vulnerable, but it is a step in the right direction. Understand that when we're talking about the ability to take control of who we sell our products to, that also means we get to
Decide.
dictate what that price is. That deal that Sudan is making with Russia is basically Russia. Also have access to our gold and pretty much on Russians' terms,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so that limits or their right of first refusal. So that limits how much profit, quote unquote, you can make. And yet, let's look at what Niger is dealing with in terms of extreme poverty. 60% of the population lives on less than $3 a day. United States of America, I think they may still have the dollar menus at the fast food places. I don't go to fast food unless my kids have dragged me there kicking and screaming. But I don't think you can get much for $3, okay? And that's for the day, right? Of course, Niger ranks near the bottom in terms of the global HDI, this index that they use to look at what's happening in countries. Climate vulnerability, they're dealing with the desertification,
Sure.
droughts, food insecurity, and 80% of the workforce is on subsistence farming. So clearly, this country needs these resources, and you can't start talking about really strengthening the country if they don't have the resources to even feed themselves. So I welcome what Tiani is doing. Obviously, we know there's going to be opposition, and the issue is a couple of things. Can the African countries as a whole come together, which we're seeing Kenya will not, but that's a whole, we'll get to that. Two, will the greed of Western Europe nonetheless cause them to acquiesce and to work with Tiani because ultimately they want to get their grubby fingers on our resources. They need our uranium. And if this is the route they have to go, I think some of them will go that route until they can find a different way to break our backs. Comrade Albi, I definitely want to hear your take on this one.